Kingdom Hearts is a long-running series made by Square Enix that's been going on since 2002. And while me and Simon love these games, we also can't deny that there are probably a couple of problems with these games.
Multiple.
Yes, there are multiple issues with these games. Now, I am extremely biased. This is my favorite video game series of all time. So I shouldn't probably go first. I would like to hear your opinion, Simon, and what are some of the issues that Kingdom Hearts suffers from?
I think Kingdom Hearts is the only series I've ever played with more negatives than positives, because I personally think there are more negatives in this game than positives, and I still love it. Now, I have devised notes, around 7 notes, a list of 7 notes of things that I think are just not great with the series. I'm gonna go down them real quick. We can just take our turns, going pitching back and forth. But I'm gonna start off with the most negative thing I find in the Kingdom Hearts series, and that's the story. The story is the most convoluted story I've ever had to experience in a video game in my life. I feel like the reason why this is the biggest negative for me is because it makes it so hard for people to get into the game. I don't know if you had experience like this, but I have multiple people ask me if they should start Kingdom Hearts, and I always tell them, yes, but be prepared, because the story is so hard to follow that even if you played it in one go, you still have to go and backtrack because it's just that convoluted. Would you agree?
I agree for the most part. I think the story of the games were pretty easy to follow along with until... No. I think they were actually pretty decent to follow along with until time travel was introduced in Kingdom Hearts 3D.
Yeah.
And as we both know, I think me and you can both agree that when time travel was introduced in a story, screw it. I don't know what's happening anymore.
All logic goes out the window at that point.
Exactly. And while I just kind of hope that starting from this point forward in the series, I hope that time travel doesn't become that big of a role again. Because that really just kind of twisted everything for me.
I think the final boss at KH3 is going to be time itself. My next point that I want to bring up is platforming. And I think you would agree, because I remember we had a discussion about this one time. The platforming, especially in Kingdom Hearts 1, is dog awful. It is terrible.
Okay.
That's all you have to say.
It could have.
Yo, you can't defend it. You can't defend it.
It could have used some work.
Okay,
but I will say,
jumping.
You haven't played Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, correct?
No.
Okay, so you haven't tried out the new area that was introduced in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix. It was only in the Final Mix version, and it actually brought back platforming to a very pretty admirable level to the series. It's the only
Was this in a world or...
Yeah, in Hollow Bastion. It's the only decent platforming in all the series. And I really hope, starting from this point on, that the platforming actually is good from now on. Just like that.
Because all I can remember is KH1 in Agrabah jumping up on those like window shade things. I don't know if you remember that. There was a treasure chest on across like 3 of them, and jumping on those was impossible because of how floaty Sora was. It was terrible.
Okay, I'll give you that. I can't say anything. I'll give you that.
Okay. My next point, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but the camera at some times can be very, very annoying. Like, I'm talking when you're in the middle of a battle and you're kind of like near a wall, and the camera kind of doesn't know how to angle itself, and then you're stuck in this weird perspective of you can't tell between enemy, wall, and Sora, Donald, and Goofy. I never liked how like awkward it was at times. It feels like it's a very rigid camera, especially in the early games, which I guess you can't knock it too much because, once again, the early games. But even still, it was just something that always bothered me, because whenever I replay the games, it's just a struggle for me to get the camera right at certain points.
Yeah, that was definitely an issue I felt like majority in Kingdom Hearts 1 and in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. The remastered.
Oh yeah, Precise Sleep.
it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but since the original PSP release only had the 2 trigger buttons on the top, that was definitely a really bad camera.
No, yeah, it was. I remember how just terrible it was managing that thing.
And let's not even. I don't even want to talk about the DS games because I know, even though I enjoyed them, honestly, it's not even so much a Kingdom Hearts issue. It's more so any game released on the Nintendo DS had a pretty
not great for camera work.
Had a pretty bad camera. But you're right. You're definitely right.
Moving on. Kingdom Hearts is a game made by Square Enix. Square Enix has made so many Final Fantasy games, and in my opinion, the characters from Final Fantasy are very underused in Kingdom Hearts. I feel like they don't have as much screen time as I'd like them to have, and I feel like you can really make them a good integral part of the story and make it more interesting with their usage, but that doesn't happen. You have like cameo fights between Sephiroth, and you see Cloud and Leon occasionally, but they're nothing big, and that always bothered me a lot about Kingdom Hearts.
I agree. I really was disappointed with Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and the fact that there was only one Final Fantasy character that showed up in the entirety of the game. And while it was Zack, and Zack is probably one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters, it is disappointing to see that Cloud, someone who is like, legendary in the Final Fantasy lore, is kind of, not a big player in Kingdom Hearts. Even though he had an amazing costume in Kingdom Hearts 1. You can't deny that. Can't deny that.
Facts. But like you said, he's such a huge flagship of Final Fantasy, so you would think they'd hype him up, but they just don't.
Yeah, you're right. And I kind of wish that changes in the future of Kingdom Hearts. See a lot more, you just utilize a lot more of the characters throughout Final Fantasy, especially in the newer games. If I can recall correctly, I don't think Final Fantasy 12 had any love in Kingdom Hearts so far, which is kind of a bummer.
12? Yeah,
Final Fantasy 12.
Definitely didn't.
And that was kind of a bummer because I actually really did enjoy Final Fantasy 12.
How did you forget about 12?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, my next point and my final point. I hate Atlantica so much with a burning passion. Now, Josue knows this. KH1 is this terrible place in my heart as being a game that I could barely beat. Atlantica was one of the worst worlds I ever had to face in my life. It has the worst, I don't even know if you consider platforming it really, but worst mechanics. I didn't like any of the fights in it. I didn't like any of the interactions of Ariel or the Disney characters. I hated that world with a passion. If I ever have to play KH1 again, I would mindlessly just go through that without a second of just thought. Because I just hate it so much.
You could skip Atlantica in the first game. So if you ever do replay the game,
wait, you're joking?
Yeah, you had an option between choosing one of the worlds between Monstro, Halloween Town, and Atlantica, and yeah, you could definitely skip Atlantica.
Are you telling me I always chose Atlantica and screwed myself over?
Yes, you did. Yeah, that's why you should have.
Anyway,
that's why you should have been friends with me back then.
Shut up. Those are my gripes of KH.
Yes.
In a nutshell.
Yes.
So I like to pass on to you. I honestly, you would think the person who loves KH a lot would not have much to say about the negatives, but like we discussed before this, every KH fan knows how bad the series can be. So I'm really curious to see what you have different from me.
Yeah, no. As much as I love the series, I know that there are definitely some issues with the series. I want to say a couple of things. I want to refer to Kingdom Hearts 1. I absolutely hate the gummy ship segments in Kingdom Hearts 1. I think they're extremely boring, and I actually experimented with it in my last run of the game, that I made it through every single gummy ship area without moving by just spamming the attack button over and over and over again.
No way.
It is completely useless, and it's ridiculous, and it was just disappointment. Kingdom Hearts 2 really did improve on it so much. But
100%.
Kingdom Hearts
And
1 was...
in Case 3, oh, man.
Yeah, I just don't want to even talk about Kingdom Hearts 1's Gummy Ship segments. I also want to refer to the lack of NPCs in the worlds. I think that really does bother me because NPCs can really make a game feel full and just alive. And with some of these worlds in Kingdom Hearts that are so humongous, and the fact that there aren't any NPCs just bother me. You go through every single world, every single room, just for Heartless on Heartless, and this is especially prevalent in Kingdom Hearts 2 Olympus Coliseum when Hercules, won the match.
Oh my god!
And the entire Coliseum was roaring with applause, and then the camera shows the stadium and there's no one there.
Yeah, that was really bad.
That was
also in general, that world in KH1 was just bad. It all was a stage. That was it.
Well, yeah, that was kind of meant more for the Coliseum, but I feel you.
It was just so like when you have like such lore that is Hercules, you would think you'd do a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to see that Kingdom Hearts 3 really turned that around, but yeah.
Oh, 100%.
But every single game, and Olympus Coliseum is the world that's appeared the most in the series, and they...
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they never took advantage of that until Kingdom Hearts 3. They had 17...
Yeah, they finally like, maybe we should actually do something.
Yeah, they had 17 years to actually do something with it, and they never did. So, I mean, whatever. Can't say anything about that, but happy to see that Kingdom Hearts 3 is bringing them back. And the level design in Worlds. Even though Kingdom Hearts 1 had a really bad platforming at times, I really think that Kingdom Hearts 1 to this day has the best level design.
Really?
Yes. While some people aren't really fans of what I'm about to say, like, I'm really not a fan of how, starting from pretty much Kingdom Hearts 2, every single world is very linear. And I know a lot of people kind of like that and kind of enjoy that. But it just felt like each room in each world in the series was kind of just empty and didn't really offer anything crazy. Like, it was just every single room kind of just had 2 exit points, and it was to go to the room before and the room after. And
oh, I see what you're talking about now.
Yeah, and at least I appreciate in Kingdom Hearts 1 that there was a lot of variety, and that there was, I feel like the only linear world that comes to the top of my head in Kingdom Hearts 1 is Agrabah. And if there's only one, oh, and Olympus Coliseum, yeah, but that's like, I mean, come on,
literally just a wall. I mean, a giant hole.
Yeah, but like, let's think about like Traverse Town in Kingdom Hearts 1, where it just felt like an actual like interconnected town.
Yeah.
Like, I really did love that, and for Kingdom Hearts.
Did you argue the same for Hollow Bastion, or did it just give did it give you the belief that it was complicated? Because I thought Hollow Bastion was also kind of similar in that sense, wasn't it?
In Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah.
No, it was actually also linear as well. There was one point.
I guess the way the world looked, you'd think it was complex, but it actually played out as linear.
Yeah. And I think that's credit to the amount of times they keep going back to that world. That new places kept opening up.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's it.
That world is also just very linear, and I really don't like that in the games. That's why, like, when I go back to Kingdom Hearts 1, I feel like Kingdom Hearts 1 kind of has a special place in my heart. And I think that's a big reason, because each world kind of really feels unique and different. And yes, it could suck. Like, Atlantica could really suck. But it really felt different. There are definitely a couple of other weaknesses, but I would probably say that in the games before Kingdom Hearts 3, the Disney characters, obviously besides Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, don't do much. Really? Like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, when you go to their worlds, yeah, they do stuff, obviously, but after that, it's kind of nothing. Like, I mean, like, when you go to...
KH1, in my opinion, with Donald, Goofy, and Mickey, felt like Disney, like it was them just saying, like, we have Disney, but they don't do anything with Disney, is what Mickey, Donald, Goofy felt like for me in KH1. You know?
I see.
And it's like, hey, like we have Disney characters, but we're not really doing anything with them the whole time. We're not really using their character. They're just flat. They're just a picture, really.
Yeah, and it's just disappointing because like you have such icons in the series. You had Simba in the game, and I really, I mean, I don't know if this is really a weakness because this is kind of just a story direction, but I mean, I don't know. I just kind of wish that these Disney characters could really have made an impact in the story. More, and now later on in the series, it just kind of felt like these Disney characters were just really in it as just marketing tools.
Yeah, because it's like once the world's over, it's like, okay, I guess that's the end of that.
And the only real Disney characters that I feel like really make a difference in these games is Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. Again, and obviously Queen Minnie, sure, and Chip and Dale. But I don't know. It just, out of all the Disney
and Jiminy Cricket.
Oh God, how could I forget Jiminy Cricket? But no, it just is disappointing. And I hope that that's not an issue moving forward in the series, where we can actually see them, each Disney character that they utilize, really make a difference when it comes to the story, and actually feel like each Kingdom Hearts game is more than just the Final Fantasy story of each game. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's that really integral. Just also, it feels like Disney again. One of the strengths of Kingdom Hearts 1, in my opinion, was that it felt like a Disney movie to me personally.
Really?
I don't know about you, but when I replay the game, I kind of feel that charm a lot, because it kind of felt like
for me, it kind of felt flat at times. I don't know if that's just me being pessimistic because KH1 just left a bad taste in my mouth, but at times, like, some Disney characters felt flat to me.
Well, I meant more so in the fact that, like, the story was really simple in just Kingdom Hearts 1. It was simple, and it was really just a story of a boy trying to find his friends. Yeah, it wasn't too
complicated.
Yeah, and at the end of the game, it was just emotional, and it felt to me like a Disney game. It was a Final Fantasy game, but with the charm and emotion of a Disney movie, and that was one of the first game's strengths to me. But then,
I can see what you mean.
But then moving forward, it was just a Final Fantasy game with Disney cameos. And
it just felt like they were just milking the Disney at that point.
Exactly, and so I really wish that isn't a thing moving forward in the series.
I see.
And every other weakness, either you described already or aren't really worth mentioning. But yeah, those are some of my biggest problems with the game.
I know we haven't, I think we kind of touched on it already, but there's one last thing I also want to point out, which is actually my biggest gripe. It's bigger than the whole story thing. We kind of touched on it though, but the emptiness of some worlds. We've had a discussion about this outside of our recordings, where we talk about how at times the worlds feel empty. You know what I mean, right?
Well, you mean besides from my point about the NPCs?
Yeah, besides the whole lack of NPCs, it just sometimes feels like there's lack of just life in general. Like, it feels like, oh, this is Disney, but nothing's going on. It feels like the template was made, but there's nothing moving, nothing alive, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
That's something that's something that always bothered me about KH, and I always worry that with every game that comes out, if it keeps happening, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't, but that's one thing that always bothered me about the series. Just like, it happens so consistently that they don't really focus on that. It makes it seem like a giant sandbox with nothing really in it.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Besides that, wonderful series.
Yeah. Again, no matter what, even if these games do have their issues and they could be pretty big, I still love this series. And it still has a really big place in my
I know
heart.
you would spend every single last dollar in your checkings account for anything they can possibly produce in the series.
Okay. I don't know about that, but I do love this game series. But we can talk about the strengths of Kingdom Hearts in another video, so please stay tuned to that.
Yeah, and let us know what you guys think about the Cage series. What do you think its weaknesses are? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know, and we'll hopefully start a conversation down in the chat.
Yes.
See ya.
See ya.